Thanks for being with us on the wake-up call. All right, so we go from county and government spending to personal spending and maybe the shopaholic that you have in your family. CPA, the money therapist, Holly Signorelli, joining us on the wake-up call. I want to know what kind of degree you have to be a money therapist.
Well, besides the CPA, it has to do with dealing with thousands of people, thousands of business owners and individuals for the last 25 years and watching people of all income levels do the same thing with the same emotions. It's all emotional spending.
So when you say, what do you mean by emotional spending?
The book that I have is called Do You Know Where Your Money Is? And several of the chapters apply to this holiday spending spree, like jealousy. You know, a lot of people see somebody having something that they want, and they may not be able to afford it, so they pull out their credit card. And especially right now when there's so many sales going on, because it makes you feel like, oh, okay, I can afford this because it's on sale. But it may not be something that you need or actually really want. It's just something that someone else has.
So in other words, a keeping up with the Joneses kind of mentality.
Absolutely. And also instant gratification in our society right now is huge, especially with the internet and cyber spending. You can get it online, and anything at your fingertips globally can be delivered to your door. You know, so it makes everything so easy to, again, buy things that you don't need. And a lot of people have been talking about with Amazon, the Prime shipping, where they deliver it like in 2 hours, depending on where you live. So that's some serious instant gratification right there.
Yeah, no kidding. So as a CPA, do you kind of feel like that credit cards are pretty much Satan's spawn?
Not necessarily. A lot of people that I know, and I do this myself, I have a business part and a personal part, and pay them off and get lots of miles and be able to use it for upgrades, first class, and things like that. So if you're able to pay your cards every month, and there's nothing wrong with that, I think a lot of people just end up with a bunch of cards, especially department stores, and those are the ones that have the really high interest rates, and those are also where you are the most impulsive in buying things that you don't necessarily need.
So,
I've actually been guilty of that myself when it comes to the makeup counter, you know?
Yeah.
You walk in there to Neiman's and they are just like all over you. So I've been avoiding that place lately.
Well, you know, it occurred to me, and it's funny because we're talking about this. Last night, my son, we're in the kitchen talking, and he goes, oh, look, I got my first letter from a credit card company offering me, now he's not even 19 yet, offering him a student credit card.
Right. I mean, and also the crazy thing about this that drives me crazy is they don't even ask for income verification. You could be like 20, 21 years old, and you get a credit card thing in the mail, and you can just say that you make $50,000, and they'll give you a credit card for $5 or 10 grand. I mean, it's not a good way to start out your life, right? At that age.
Well, but I guess my point is that, you know, none of this, it seems like, is addressed by either schools or parents with their kids about, okay, let's talk about responsible spending. And a lot of it, I mean, as you just said, with the impulse buying and the like, you know, kids mimic their parents. That's who they model. And, you know, they see mom or dad out there flipping the plastic out every time that they see something that happens to catch their eye and buy it. I mean, that's where they're learning their, you know, financial planning from, is mom and dad doing really irresponsible spending.
Yeah, that's definitely very, very important, but I also think it happens with the peer pressure, too. And sometimes maybe, you know, a person has a better job than you, and they're making more money, and they're buying stuff, electronics especially for millennials, and they want that, too, and they don't have enough money, so the credit card comes in the mail, and they use that. Because once they're an adult, I mean, the parents don't always know, especially once they've moved out, what they're doing. But I do agree that the spending habits really are formed at a young age by what your parents say and do. I know in my family, my parents never really talked or thought about money, but they always saved, and we always had a full life. They were very balanced, so that was normal to me. So I think that how you see your parents, you know, if they are complaining about money a lot, that can feed into how your psyche is as you get older too, and then you end up doing the same patterns.
Okay, money therapist, let's help some people out there that might be in debt, and then, here comes the holidays, and they get a 1, 2, 3 punch to the solar plexus. Is there anything that they can do during this month that will kind of prepare them, at least to think about starting to get back on a level playing field come January?
Yes, I think the most important thing with the holidays is that they've become over the years extremely stressful rather than just being about family and having great food and your faith, if that's important to you in the United States, because these are such controversial subjects nowadays. But, watching football and spending time with people that you love, whether it's your family, your friends, coworkers, it doesn't matter. And it really shouldn't be about money. So everybody really needs to just really relax and go back to simple. They need to go back to simple, where you have a very simple budget. This is how much I'm going to spend. This is who I have to buy for. This is how much I'm going to pay for each person, and I'm going to stay in my budget. And I'm not going to worry what other people spend. If it's more or less, I'm going to do what I can do, what makes me happy, and be creative with what you do, and not make it be so stressful. And the same thing goes to with parties or dresses, clothes for parties. You can use Rent the Runway, and you can rent a dress for a party. You don't have to go out and buy a $1,000 dress for New Year's Eve.
Well, why don't you wear one that you already have?
Exactly.
Why even rent one? I mean, just...
Because everything's on social media now. This is the world we live in, so if you wear the same thing over and over again, all your pictures look alike, right? Everything comes down to social media now.
And the problem with that is?
It's not a problem. I love it. But in Rent the Runway, you can get a dress for $30 that would normally cost $300. So there's all kinds of options to budget during the holidays and not wake up January and start your 2016 year with credit card debt and regret and remorse from overspending. It's just not necessary to have a good time.
I do. It's interesting. We just got an email here, and it really boils down the point nicely. My parents grew up in the Depression. If you don't have money, you don't spend it. It's that simple. All right. Hey, we appreciate you joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning.
You bet. Have a great day.
All right. Holly Signorelli, she is the money therapist. She's also a CPA.